Now we're going to move on to our next key area because we've spent a lot of time talking about tools. Let's move on to talk about improving our email because email is still the hammer. We're still going to use it. And 3 key concerns that we want to pay attention to when looking at our email is, number 1, are we sending out the right amount and type of email? Number 2, are we sending out the right message? And 3, are we getting it to the right audience? So again, that's right amount and type of content, right message, and right audience. We're going to take our second poll right now, and again, select one person from your location to take this poll. And as we did before, you can check the little button or the box to select how often do you email your members.
And while we're having the audience take that poll, let me quickly share with them that we do invite you to enter your name into a drawing, and that drawing will be for a package of materials that Jenny has generously provided. And all you need to do that is to send in either through the Q&A or through Twitter, all you need to do is send in your name and also your email address. And we do encourage you to do that because it certainly is a good opportunity. And it looks like we're getting most of the responses, but I do see some of them are still on their way in. So at this point, we'll give the audience just a few more moments.
Fascinating to watch this. For everybody who's listening, we can see how many people are voting right now and what the numbers are. Right now we have people are voting on how often they email members, and the answers range from several times a week, once a week, about once every other week, once per month, or less frequently than once a month.
And I should mention also that is a copywriting kit that is being offered to whoever sends in their name, and we'll do that for the next 10 minutes at least. And, again, that's a copywriting kit with a value of $247. And with that, we'll go ahead and close the polls and share our results. And those results are now visible, and we have a dead even heat, 31% for several times a week or about once a week. With that, back to you, Jenny.
Okay, and that is fascinating to me because if you remember from our earlier poll, 27% of people on the call today or on the webinar today said that their members are complaining about getting too much email. That was our second highest complaint, second highest challenge. So it looks like we're going anywhere from once a week to several times a week, which, once a week is really not too much in terms of email. But we still have people who are complaining about too much. It would be really fascinating if we could drill down and see did that 27% come from the category of people who said they're emailing several times a week. But let's talk about if that is the challenge that you're getting. That's the complaint that you get, people who say there's too much, or if you're feeling like that, if you're, as the leader of the organization, you're feeling like you're sending out to members too much. 2 ways that you can overcome this is, number 1 is to send fewer emails, of course. That's why we looked at doing other tools. But the second way you can approach it is changing the types of messages that you send, changing the types of emails that you send, which is why we're going to talk for a minute about drip marketing. Now, drip marketing is a marketing term, obviously, so people who aren't familiar with it, let me take a quick second here to recap what it is. It comes from drip irrigation, which is a form of watering where plants receive small, steady drips of water over a long period of time versus getting dumped with a ton of water and then getting nothing for a period of time. It's shown that drip marketing or drip watering nurtures plants better, makes stronger, healthier plants. And drip marketing works the same way. Through this, we have a small, steady diet of contacts going out to our prospects to strengthen and grow those relationships. It's very, very often used with lead generation campaigns, and it works because it keeps you top of mind, and it gently nudges prospects on a regular basis to take action, keeps feeding them information in small little bits and pieces, and eventually they sign up. The 3 key takeaways that we want to get from the drip marketing model as webinar promoters is that, 1, repeated contact will improve our sales results. That's why we have to keep promoting our webinars over a period of time. We can't send out 1 or 2 announcements and hope that people remember our event. We have to keep promoting over time. Second thing is that variety of media will boost your response. That's why we look at using other tools. If you use other tools, the message will be coming at them from different angles, and they're more likely to notice and then to take action. And then the third thing that comes from drip marketing is that whether or not the email is welcomed or considered annoying can depend on the type of message. It depends on the content that you're sending out. what we see is that good content can lower resistance. If your message is adding value to your prospects' lives, they're more likely to pay attention to it and to invest the time reading it. Now, most list owners are really wary about emailing too often, so they'll email maybe once or twice a week, and we were seeing that from the results today. That's how you can fall into the trap of sending out only 1 or 2 times for your webinar. To understand why it's important, why the content that you're sending out, I want to share something from my personal experience. So I'm on many, many mailing lists because I'm a marketing professional. I have to see what other people are doing. And I'm on several lists. Some are from experts, and others are from organizations where we get a daily email. And the reason the list owner does this is it gets people to a yes or no faster. They know that their prospects might be reading 1 out of 10 messages, so they'd rather get those 10 messages out in 10 days rather than 10 weeks. The key that we can take away from this for our webinar promotions is that they can do that because the messages aren't just repeatedly asking for sales. They're delivering good content. Good content is what makes you a welcome guest, not an unwanted pest. So again, it makes you a welcome guest, not an unwanted pest. So can you look at your emails and explore ways that you can make them more content rich? How can you add value to the email messages that you're sending out? I encourage you to look at what you can do with your emails to educate people, educate your members, as well as selling to them. If you educate, it can increase the readership, and it also makes it more comfortable on our end to hit that send button one more time because you know you're adding some value to your prospects' lives, adding value to your members' lives. So 2 ways you can do this. 1, send out emails that have very much an education focus. Send out emails that are an article, let's say, and then mention the webinar as a subpoint. Mention it in the article or mention it in the call to action. This is the same concept as when we were talking about back at the beginning of the webinar, talking about how to use our association publications. Using the articles in publications to drive people to our webinars. If you don't want to do that, you can take those articles and send them out through email so it becomes more helpful information that you're pushing to your members. The second approach is to keep sending out your promotional messages, but have them take more of an educational tone. Don't just sell, sell, sell. Educate a little bit in them. So include some interesting information. Include a tip. KRM used one of those messages in this campaign talking about one of the tips that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. So can you give a little bit of a teaser and then shift into selling the event? As you're looking at ways that you can add valuable information to your audience, look at facts and statistics that you can share. Look at ideas that you might want to explore, tips that you can share. You can even put in recommendations for, books and other reading materials. I got an email recently that had the top 3 books you should read about this topic, and then it moved into a sales message, and I kept it because I wasn't so much interested in the event that was being sold. I was interested in the reading list, more things to file away. So look at what you can do to add value as well. Another question you might want to consider is who are you sending your emails to? Because a lot of times you can be choosier about who you send that email to without really hurting your response. Before you click send, ask, is this email relevant to the people that I'm selling it to? Are they likely to buy? And if your answer is no, stop and reconsider whether you want to send it to them. If you knew that your members had a limit, like they had a number in their head of how many irrelevant messages they would tolerate from you before they started complaining or opting out, would you send that message? That might be a good question for you to ask before you click send on your next campaign. So as you're looking at who gets your message, do some segmentation. Look at title. Look at the industry. Look at the type of member you're sending to. Look at the revenue. Look at the special interest groups they belong to, their geography, their purchase history. Look at decision-making authorities. Some of your members can't make purchasing decisions, so find out who they need approval from and build a list of those decision makers and then target promotions to them as well. You might even want to have a separate campaign for the decision makers altogether. Look at ways that you can really hone in on who should be receiving your email promotions. Also look at how your customers use email. There's no doubt about it, mobile devices are very, very popular. You might hear that, time spent with web-based email is declining, but actually email at the computer is only one way that people are checking their email. mobile devices let you check your email more frequently. I've seen some studies that have reported anywhere between 30 and 55% of mobile phone users have checked email with their phones. So obviously people are using it. Merkle, which is a customer relationship marketing agency, found that 87% of Internet users check their personal email daily, 60% check their account used for commercial email daily. And then, of course, members who are at work are going to be checking it. Merkle also found that social media users are very likely to check email. 42%, in fact, they found checked their email 4 times a day. So the key is look here at how people are how are they checking their email. And if you need to make your emails more mobile friendly because a large portion of your audience is using a mobile device to check it, do things like make sure you're using short subject lines because they don't have the space on a mobile device to read a full lengthy subject line. Use the pre-head to continue the headline that you have in your subject line. The pre-head is the copy that appears right above or within your header graphic, and it's usually used to say, if you can't read this email, click here to see it online. It might have white listing instructions or forward to a friend link. Use that to have some promotional copy. You write for the preview pane because remember, people can't see very much, so load up your email with lots of really good content up front. And then also make sure that you have a text-only version going out for people who aren't seeing the HTML. The key to remember with mobile devices is that people are performing email triage. They are deciding they'll respond to what's urgent, and then they might also be deciding which commercial messages they want to delete completely, so it might not even be on their account when they get back to their computer. Your goal is to make sure that there's enough interesting content in your email that they want to save it and read it when they're back at their computer. When you're connecting with your audience, let's review your message. 3 questions I like to ask is it clear when I read my copy what I'm teaching? Is it clear who should attend? And is it clear how attendees are going to benefit by participating in the webinar? Now, you probably have one webinar page set up to gather your registrations, and it has to be somewhat generic. But take the time to customize your emails. You have the ability to send multiple emails to multiple audiences. Take the time to customize that message to them so it's really clear why you're teaching this and how that particular audience is going to benefit. On the call today, we have executive directors, association or education directors, and marketing directors. You all share the goal of wanting to get more people to your pay to attend webinar, but how you do that and why you want to do that is going to be a little bit different for each audience. So take the time to send out and create multiple email messages that are really going to hit the pain points and hit the desired benefits for each audience you're mailing to.